right, Mariam. Welcome and thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just gonna chat because we're just two women doing life, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna ask you a question. So, what is something about Aaron that you know that he had to take away from his parents or from us?
I know that Aaron is the father he is,
Mm-hmm.
and the husband he is because of Harvey.
Oh, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
I just watch him. I mean, he played hair salon with Bowie
Yeah.
last night in a Texas accent, both of them, for an hour and a half. And
that should have been recorded.
It was priceless. And they were having so much fun. Azari had to come in and try to play too, because he was like, what's going on down here? This sounds hilarious. And I just watched that and I'm like, even he just embraces being a stepdad with his whole heart. Like Bowie is his baby.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I know that he knows that he's Harvey's.
Yeah.
And I think that if there would have been resistance, or if he wouldn't have felt loved or safe or any of those things by his own step parent, he wouldn't be the step parent that he is.
Right.
And I think that's why he's a better step parent than I am.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I do my best.
Right, because he came and
had an example.
And not only that, and he was the stepchild.
Yes.
Oh.
So he has so much insight that I will never have, that I never had. And I'm not a bad stepmom, but I'm not Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron is like the best.
Yeah.
You know, the best dad and the best stepdad, because he had a stepdad that was his dad.
Yeah. But so you know what I'm going to tell you about that? I feel the same way about Harvey as far as our marriage goes. I feel like he is such a good husband. It forces me to be a better wife.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It makes me a better wife. So by Aaron being such a good stepfather, it forces you, you know, like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. That's powerful.
It is.
Wow.
It's and I know going forward that my children can love anybody.
Yes.
Regardless of whether she has children or he has children, because they can see what that dynamic can look like. Like, I don't think any of our children will be like, she's got 2 kids.
Right.
She's on marrow.
Right.
You know, she's not marriage material.
Yeah.
I think that they can look at it and be like, I can be a stepdad like Aaron was a stepdad to me. Right. And like, and because Aaron said it, he wanted to marry a woman with children. He was looking for a woman with children. Maybe not 4.
Yeah.
But it felt natural to him. And he knew he wanted to have a girl, but he didn't want any more kids.
Right.
And, you know, so it wasn't like he never felt any type of way about me being a single mom.
Right.
When we started dating, it was not a deal breaker at all. It was good, because I understood that certain days belonged to James. Yeah. And that was his priority, because my kids were my priority. So I understood what that looked like. Right. You know, so it really worked.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. I know he tells me, like, I have my daughters. You know, I have my daughters through you. Yeah. You know, because he has a son, but he said, I have the girls. So now I know what it's like to have boys and girls. You know what I mean? So being able to do that, you know, it's just powerful. Yeah. And his dad was the same way. Harvey, because once he was divorced, I mean, he's a little bit older than I am. And so he had his pick of the litter. You know what I mean? He could have married a woman that was his age. He could have married a woman with kids. He could have married a woman with no kids. He could have married a woman with adult kids, because he had 2 adult children. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't have to start again. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like his friends was telling him, like, man, are you crazy? It's too many women out here. Yeah. For you to marry somebody with 4 kids. Yeah. And little kids. You know what I mean? My oldest was 14. And my youngest, I think Aaron was 8 and Tracy was 9. And so it was like starting all over again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. But the one thing that I've learned too, Mariam, is that I've learned that God loves family. Yeah. And God created family. And Jesus was raised by a stepfather.
That's right. That's our favorite story. I love it. And I don't think that's talked about enough.
No, and I think people from the outside would say, well, why did she get the good man? She got 4 babies. I'm over here and I'm single. I don't have any children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's so attractive about her?
I think, though, being a mother and having that maternal love,
yes,
does make you a better wife.
Especially if the person has children.
Yeah,
I would say that,
because you can see that, you know, you can care for someone outside yourself.
Yes,
and I think that that's important
and attractive to people.
Because if you make it to 40 and you've never had a child and you've never been married, we're selfish at our nature is selfish no matter what.
At our core.
It's self-preservation.
It sure is.
But if you've never had to worry about anybody outside yourself, it's really hard to love somebody, because you haven't ever had to.
Right.
So I think that some people do seek out a woman with children because they know, especially if they have children, there's a difference that happens.
It sure
and
is.
if you're used to being with someone who's been a mother, you're going to kind of crave that, nurturing that you see.
And for the women who are older, who never had children, and you do have children, you would have to give them some grace and understand that she's not a mother.
Yeah.
So the things that come along with being a mother, those are not things you're going to read about. Those are not things you're going to learn from watching your neighbor or your friend or your cousin. Those are things that you got to be in the trenches to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like a mother.
Yeah.
That when her kid's nose is running, she'll take her hand and wipe it off and think nothing of it. You know what I mean? Woman is like, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The things that we do as women or as mothers that we will do. And I don't think it's fair that a lot of times men, they'll seek a woman who doesn't have children, but yet and still you have children. So I don't think it's fair for you trying to force her. I mean, if she's fine with it, then fine. But if she's not fine with it, then I think that you need to move forward with somebody who has children as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Yeah. I mean, I know that it can be very challenging to blend and bring together, but it can be a challenge too if you marry someone who doesn't have children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Yeah. It's a big challenge to bring it all together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think it's harder when they're, either they're grown and they're out of the house and that's not so hard because they got their own lives and they've already, grown up. But coming into teenagers' lives, your own teenagers are difficult. So, I'm so thankful that I had the foundation with James where I got to meet him pretty young.
Yes.
And then grow a foundation of love before this teenage boy stage. Because if I was just coming in right now,
it would be ugly. Yeah.
It'd be really hard.
It would be really,
So I think it does help to build that foundation a little bit early. Not saying it's impossible.
No.
But it's harder.
Yeah. Because they're trying to figure out themselves who they are.
Yep.
And they don't need to try to figure out who you are.
Yes. Yep.
And whether you love them or whether you're on their side or not and all that kind of stuff. It can be, all of that stuff can just be such a challenge. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it works, right?
It works. And then your kids have a sibling to love.
Yeah.
And it's, like Aaron with Michael.
Right.
That's his half brother. He would never say that.
No.
That's his brother.
That's his brother.
He always says it. Michael taught him how to be a dad.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was old enough where he remembered every step of the way. And so that's his brother.
Yeah.
And I think it can be the same, whether you're blood related, step siblings, half siblings. If you're raised in the same home, that's your family.
Right.
And I think it really teaches you how the more people that you have in your home and everything else, the more people you learn to love and think outside of yourself.
Right.
And you'll just learn in
You'll
general
learn. Yeah.
from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know for Harvey, he's never ever. I remember Delana thinking when I got pregnant with Michael that Harvey was going to change, and she kept waiting for him to change. She kept waiting to see that he was going to love his own son better than he was going to love us. And she had even put it in Aaron's head, oh, you're not going to be the baby anymore, and he's going to love him. And just a kid who's an avid reader, reading about step kids and all this kind of stuff and all this crazy stuff that was planted in her head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not knowing that her dad was a different type of a man.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't make a difference.
And I think because she did love him, she was so afraid of that love going away or changing.
That's right.
That she was bracing herself for worst case scenario.
Yes.
Right? And my kids made sure when we got married, they said the first question they asked is, "You're not going to have another baby, are you? Please tell me you are not having another baby." And I said, "No, I'm not having another baby." But that was a huge concern for them. And I think back of their mind, it was that.
Yeah.
If they have a baby together and it's the only baby in the house that's both of theirs,
that's right.
Is that baby going to get special treatment?
Right.
None of them wanted us to have another kid. And that's not the reason we didn't have another kid. 5 is enough.
Right. 5 is enough. Yeah.
But it was a concern, and I think that it would, the fear of a slice of the love being taken away is real.
Because now he has his own in her mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he never changed. He never changed. He would, like if Michael was doing something, like if Michael was kicking at Aaron or something, Harvey would make him stop. He wouldn't say he's a baby, and he wouldn't make excuses for him. No.
Yeah.
His biggest thing was favoritism. He cannot stand when there's favoritism. And when you pit or prefer one kid over the other, he just comes out of himself when he can't stand that.
Yeah.
So he wants to keep everything that we love everybody. We love all the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so Aaron getting to see that, you know what I mean? That
he pulls it in. He pulls it into the family all the time because he thinks that I'm harder on the girls than I am on my boys.
Oh.
And
do you think
he's right? Okay. I am a little harder on my girls, and totally subconsciously, and I didn't know it until they pointed it out.
Okay.
I guess I feel like women carry so much responsibility, and I had to carry so much responsibility as a single mom, that I hold them to the standard of if you grow up and you happen to not have a man in your life, I want you to be okay. So, you need to know how to protect yourself, to cook, to work, to be disciplined, to like all of these things. I think it comes out of a place of fear of me preparing them for the worst. And for my boys, I don't know. I don't know why I'm easier on them, because I want them to be strong providers. I want them to be protectors. But I was like this with my little brother, and I guess we were besties, right? And I see my brother in my sons. Okay. And I just love him so much that I'm like, oh my baby brothers almost. Where with my girls, they're almost like my sisters, where there's always a little bit competition. Not that I have competition with my daughters, but it's a different relationship between sisters than it is between a sister and a brother. There's a softness there that you show a little brother compared to a big sister.
I understand.
So I think
see
it's
it with
kind of weird.
with Delana, with Michael.
Yeah.
There's a
there's a softness.
There's a softness there. And that's not there with her sister.
And so Aaron would be like, hey, you're calling out Bowie more than you are Azari. And then I feel him filling in the gap, right?
There you go.
Or he'll be like, oh, well, then I'm going to favor Bowie a little bit more because you're fair. But then it's
balancing,
not fair. Even though you feel like it, then just one is, then I feel like it turns into this teeter-totter. And I saw it in my own family. Okay. And so I'm really happy that he called me out of like, hey, and Azari was kind of special needs when he was younger. Okay. So I really had to pour into him more than my other kids because he was delayed in learning. And so there was a lot of one-on-one time there that I had to form a level of patience with him that I didn't have to form with my other kids.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that, but it was now he's grown out of that. He's not that baby anymore that needs all that special attention and special care. He's a smart, totally, capable child. So I think Aaron's saying, hey, he's not that baby anymore.
Right.
You got to see the fault. You got to see when there's a problem.
Right.
It helps me to be like, okay, I need to call him out, call her out less, but it's totally that balancing act.
And that's why it's so good to have two parents in the home.
Yeah.
The yin and the yang. That's why it's just so imperative.
And I don't know if I would be like that if Aaron, because Aaron shows Bowie so much love because she loves him so much that they're just two peas in a pod, just, and I almost feel like because she has shown him so much love and so much attention that it just reflects back into her. Yeah. Not that he loves her any more than anybody else. No. But because she pours so much into him that he responds. Where the other kids are like, whatever. So I kind of feel like, since they see him showing her so much love, maybe I need to show them more love. So it's just a balance.
These things sometimes it's like personality too.
Totally.
Sometimes personalities can just mesh so well together.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You don't love the other kid more.
No. And you don't have favorites. It's just
can
that
click. Yeah. Like you both like art, or you both like to sing, or you both like to cook, or you have these personality traits that are similar, where it just flows. Yeah. And then it, just like anybody in the real world, right? Yeah. Your kids are no different. Right. They're their own person with their own personality, and you're gonna find more similarities with some than the other.
That's right.
And where it's just a little bit easier to have conversation, right? Or discipline, even discipline. Yeah. Where it's like this person gets offended if I discipline in this way, where this person doesn't get offended when I discipline in this way. So
I found that me being a mother of 5 too, my issue was learning their personality and how to relate to them differently. Yes. And even as adults, like my relationship with my elder daughter is totally different from my relationship with the other kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
My relationship with my daughter, like with Delana, it's glam. It's like makeup and let's go shopping and let's do this and let's do that. And not that my other daughter doesn't, but with Tracy, it's like we're going backpacking, we're going hiking, we're going camping. Yeah. We're doing, and I'm doing different things with them. You know what I mean? Okay, then with Michael, he's a nurturer. He's a lot like Aaron. They're very nurturing. But the thing about your husband, and I'm going to say this. First of all, I want to say, and I want this to go down, I want this on camera, that I just love the way you love my boys. And I always say that to you. The way you love James and the way you love Aaron, But the thing about Aaron is that he can pull at your heart. I mean, I will never ever forget it. And I've always told people, like, I don't brag about that my kids went to college or that my kids are successful in this area, that area. My thing that I brag about is their character. I know that my son would never mistreat a woman or mistreat anybody. You know what I'm saying? I can brag on their character. My daughter's not going to do that to you. Yeah. My son is not going to hurt you. I know that you're safe in the elevator with any of my kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? With any of my boys. I know that you're safe. I know that a male is safe with any of my girls, that she's not going to manipulate you or do anything to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So being able to brag on their character means so much. But back to, I think this is one of the moments that just stays in my head whenever I ever want to talk about who Aaron is. And it always takes me back to a lot of things, but the one particular one was when my husband was diagnosed with cancer. Harvey, their dad. And we came in and all the kids came in and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed over him. And I remember Harvey went and had surgery, and I was staying up at the hospital, and Tracy was here, and she was cooking, and Mom come home, and Delana was here. The kids were here. Everybody was in the trenches. You know what I mean? But I'll never ever forget it. It was one day Harvey had came home, and it was just I was sitting in the chair.
Hi, Mariam.
Hey.
I was sitting in the chair, and I was had just came home from the hospital, and Aaron kneeled down, and he got on my level, and he looked me straight in my eyes, and he said, "Mom, how are you doing?" I will never, ever, ever forget that moment, because it was like he sees me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We knew his dad was sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he knew, but at the same time, he said, "But how are you doing?" And I mean, and it was like he looked into my soul. You know what I mean? And that is one of those moments that I'll tell everybody. You know what I mean? That and Delana always say, Aaron, he's your. She likes to say favorite, or
he does too.
She likes to say, she says that we're more kindred spirits, because she's like, he has your heart. You know what I mean? That male child there, because he knows how to reach you, or how to connect with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But then all of them know how to connect with me in their own way. But we're just talking about Aaron at this time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that was one of the things that I knew. I know that he's a good-hearted, a good person.
Yeah, and he sees you as an individual.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like you're not just a mom. You're not just a wife.
Yes.
You're your own person. You need to take care of you. And that's probably one of the biggest things that he's done for me. So I'm always me first. He's taught me that.
Right.
Of you first. Just like the oxygen mask on an airplane.
That's right.
You put your mask on first.
Yeah.
And then you help everybody else.
Yeah. And that's where I learned that from him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, yeah. So, okay, Mariam, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit here, because it's been so good. It's so good. You know what I mean? So I think we'll have a part 1, part 2, maybe part 3. Maybe, hopefully, Mariam will give me some more of her time, So if there's anything that you want to close with, anything that you would like to say to anybody who's contemplating like getting married and marrying someone with kids, or they're in the trenches already and they're having a rough time with it.
I think communication is key, but so is prayer.
Yeah.
And don't just pray together when times are hard.
Oh, yes.
Don't just pray for help. Pray with a thankful heart.
Yes.
You know, you got to give the praise back, because I think so often we ask God to help us, but we forget to say thank you when he gives us what we've been praying for.
Right.
And I think this was my first relationship where I got down on my knees with my partner and prayed.
Yes.
In all times. The good, the bad, the times where you don't know, the unknown.
Right.
I think that's really the key, is finding somebody that you're equally yoked with in life and in faith.
Yes.
And
that's so important.
You have to connect spiritually so that you can make everything else work. Yeah. And I think having that base where we both came from spiritual households, but we're not the same as our parents.
Right.
And the way that we practice our faith, we are the same as each other as we practice our faith. And I think that's the key. If you find someone who loves going to church and you don't love going to church, maybe that's not the best match.
That's right.
If you love somebody, you just got to find your equally yoked partner in faith as well.
So how did you know that Aaron was the one?
That constant unconditional love.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. Knowing that I could be completely me. I could shine as bright as I wanted to shine, and I never had to dull my light. I could smile and be charismatic and be friendly, and it was never there was never any tone it down.
Ooh.
I never had to tone it down. I could be 100% me, and and he loved it. The more I was me, the better it was.
Wow.
And I think that's,
Wow.
you know, when you know, like you can be the true you and have them love you.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. For me, it was, I remember my eldest daughter asked me, like, how do you know? How do you know that he's the one? And I said, because even if there's someone out there that can love me more, that can give me more, and I would even be more compatible with, I'm happy enough with what I have that I don't even care. I don't even care.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And I picked wrong so many times. If I picked right one time, I'm sticking with it.
You sticking with it. Well, I'm glad you picked right, and I'm glad you're here. And I just want to say thank you for coming and sharing your life with me and just giving me your time. You know, we can get money, but time. Just to give me your time and to share with my viewers and stuff about, you know, second marriages and stuff. And this won't be our last rodeo, guys. No. We will do this again. Because we're going to get real comfortable with this. Yep. So I appreciate you guys. So I just wanted to say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye, guys.
Bye.